श्रीकान्तो मातलो यस्य जन्नी सर्वमङ्गलाजनकाः शङ्करो महादेवः त्वं वन्दे गजाननम् विमलपटी कमलकुटी पुस्तकरुद्राक्षसहस्रपुटी कामाक्षी पक्ष्मलाक्षी कलितविपञ्ची विभासि वारिञ्ची मनोजवं मारुतुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयुतमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम् शिवशक्त्यायुक्तो यदि भवति शक्तप्रवृत्तं न चेदेवं देवो न खलु कुशलस्पन्दितुमप्यतस्त्वामाराध्यां हरिहरविरिञ्चादिभिरपि प्रणन्तुं स्तोतुं वा कथमकृतपुण्यं भवति मनस्वी can you chant Gurve Sarlokanamma?
गुरुवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीमेधे दक्षिणमूर्तये नमः।
ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं
ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां हयग्रीव उपास्महे।
विमलपटी
विमलपति कमलपति पुस्तकरुद्राक्ष सस्तहस्तपुति कामाक्षी पक्ष्मलाक्षी कलितविपंक्षी हुतासि वैरञ्ची
मनोजवं
मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूतमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि।
शारदनीरदेन्दु
सारथिनीरदेन्दुघनसारपटीरमरालमल्लिका हारतुषारफेन रजताचल कासफणीसकुण्डमन्दार सुधापयोधिसुततामर सामर वाहिनी शुभकारत नొప్పు నిన్నుమది గానగ నన్నడు గల్గు భారతి
शिवशक्त्यायुक्तो
शिवशक्त्यायुक्तो यदि भवति शक्तप्रभवितुं न चेदेवं देवो न खलु कुशलस्पन्दितुमपि अतस्त्वमाराध्य हरिहरविरिञ्चादिभिरपि प्रणन्तुं स्तोतुं वा कथमकृतपुण्यप्रभवति।
Very good. Thank you, Ma. Today's Slokam, the 60th Slokam, talks about the transformation of a man to God and how the different states that exist, monkey, man, and Mahatma, the three M's. When I should say all of us, when I have my mind gets distracted easily, my mind has thousands of thoughts that are jumping from one to another. That is the normal state of a normal human with about 64,000 thoughts every day move are on the screen of Manasu or the plane of consciousness as we are awake. And these thoughts continue to distract us and they continue to dilute our attention. Today, in the current age, you talk about ADHD, attention deficit disorders, right? And people's attention span is also reducing to watch nothing less more than 2 minutes, 1 minute, based on the shorts content that we see on the Instagram, YouTube, everywhere you see. Right from childhood, you notice parents are giving devices to kids who are getting used to scrolling the content, therefore their attention span also reduces. That's typically the monkey in our mind. And then once you take 2 steps back, and I know many in the family, in the friend circle, who keep getting distracted with Instagram and then get frustrated with it and keep deleting it. And then again in a month, they keep, reinstalling it back to start consuming the content when they feel bored. So this is predominantly happens with many of us in our lives. We basically realize that we are being consumed by this content and then we are wasting time, which is in limited supply, and therefore get frustrated that I could have done better things and therefore try to delete the root, the tool, or the app in order to get back our time. But the intent should be within us. Even if, for example, if I decided not to consume any intoxicating substance, alcohol, for example, even if the alcohol bottle right is in front of me, my will should have the strength not to consume it. Now, who actually gives us the strength? When you are about to do something, there's an inner voice that comes and says, this is right, this is wrong, this is moral, this is immoral, and this is neutral. I don't know whether we can do it or not. Okay, based on the time, based on the place, based on the location or the situation that you are in, you have to act accordingly, right? If you're a student, for example, and your mother is a teacher or a father is a teacher, at school you can't call them mom and dad, but the fact that they are your mother and father does not vanish away. They still are your mother and father, but at school when they're teaching, they're performing the role of a teacher. So you have to call them teacher. The Dharma says, then they become the teachers more than parents, right? Therefore, you address them as teacher. Now, the inner voice that continues to talk to us is what the Vedas call the actual Bhagavad Gita. The 60th slokam talks about the transformation of a normal human, man or a woman, to the monkey in the mind, then transforms to understanding the human potential, and then from human potential to Mahatma's potential. How each of us can sculpt away everything that does not belong to us. What do we need to sculpt away? When you take a block of stone, how do you sculpt a beautiful murti of Lord Venkateshwara? You chisel away small piece by piece, piece by piece, piece by piece that does not belong to the block. And there emerges a beautiful murti of the Lord of Seven Hills. And then you do the prana pratishtha, and therefore it starts once a piece of stock, a piece of rock lying probably some part of the mountain somewhere where everybody used to sit, keep their feet on it, animals would roam around, right? With no absolute regard to that piece of stone. But once the piece of stone has been selected, it will go through some purification process, right? Because animals might have urinated on it, humans might have spit on it, right? You never know what the stone went through. So it needs to go through a purification process. You bring river waters from all the Punya Nadis, Ganga, Krishna, Godavari, Narmada, Sarayu, and then bathe them with mantra snanam, and then slowly start sculpting away. The moment that idol is sculpted, the moment the prana pratishtha happens, everybody starts bowing down to that idol. And once animals which roamed freely about that stone in the mountains or the forest are not even allowed into the temple, what has changed in that stone? Some very skillful sculptor has sculpted it and chiseled away all the pieces, giving it a shape of a Divya Murti that we can attach to as per the Vedic Agama Sastras. And we start praying, keeping it in the sacrosanct, which is extremely powerful and extremely holy for us. Now, similarly, as we are transforming, we need to sculpt away a lot of our past that continues to haunt us, that continues to say, you haven't done this in the past, making us the prisoners of the past. Okay. When we continue to follow the path of Sanatana Dharma, we will become prisoners of our values. We'll not become prisoners of our past. We'll not become prisoners of our assumptions. We will not prisoners of somebody's perception of us, right? We will not really worry about what others are thinking. We would only care about, am I feeling good about myself? Have I done the right things? Am I doing the Sanatana Dharma as it is required? Therefore, we become prisoners of Sanatan values. And it's good to, what do I mean by becoming a prisoner of Sanatan values? We arrest ourselves in trying to do everything, saying, does this fit in the Sanatana Dharma value? Should I be doing this? Should I not be doing this? And therefore, you continue to use your inner conscience wherever you're going. What is the yardstick for us? When I say prisoner of Sanatan values, who tells us? Either we have access to a guru like Adi Shankaracharya who has scripted everything. Therefore, we read those and try to process and try to assimilate. Jagat Guru Adi Shankaracharya says, Pratasmrami Stotras, which means wake up early in the morning, try to do those slokas. But given the current economy, A lot of people are working in the late nights, so it is not probably possible and feasible for them to wake up after 2 3 hours of sleep and do the pujas. There are people who still do it and go back to sleep, right? So how do they do? What do they do? So whenever they wake up, they can offer the prayers. The best is before the sunrise. The next best is, whenever you wake up, before you approach this sandhya, and during the sandhyas, when the time changes, you keep recalling the Gayatri, okay, mantra. There are many, many Gayatris. When I say Gayatri, there's not only one Gayatri, there's a Gayatri. Gayatri is a chandas, which means a framework, like a human. You and I have the same bones. That's how medicinal doctors know how to treat us. If all of us have different bones, different forms, and different factors, then there's no consistency. There's no way the doctors can treat us. So all of us have heart, all of us have the lungs, the liver functioning the same way. Therefore, medicine becomes a science that can treat us. Similarly, Sanatana Dharma also is a Vedic science that says every human who is born will be impacted with Kama, Krodha, Mada, Matsarya, Lobha, Mohas. How would he be or she be able to contain? Right? So the thoughts of lust, the thoughts of adharmic, the thoughts of jealousy, these are bound to come to everyone, including Mahatmas. The transformation from a monkey to a man to a Mahatma happens. Hanuman is a great example of it. When that happens, at a stage of a monkey, when a thought of greed comes, immediately we start attending to it or it starts bothering us. When we move our transformation from a monkey to a man or a woman, basically monkey to human, we basically are looking at these thoughts and able to realize this thought that is coming up in my mind is not a right thought. Therefore, I should try to distract myself by doing something that can keep these thoughts at bay. And therefore, we start doing these things, and we are either in the satsangatyam of good people. Okay. For example, some people who are used to drinking alcohol when it gets dark, if they start going to a temple to do bhajan in the evening and they took an oath for the next 40 days, I will go to temple from 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. or I'll sit at home and do bhajan, to break this habit in order to make a new habit. So when you make that a ritual, the day one, the day two, the day three, you will feel it very difficult to sit and do bhajan because at that time you're being reminded of intoxicating alcohol that basically gives you an artificial high just to bring you down. But on the day four, by the time it is 6:40, your manasu, your internal will keep reminding you it's time for the bhajan. We will feel so good after it. And slowly but surely, after 40th day, you will completely get rid of this thought. When it gets dark, I have to drink alcohol. I have to get to alcohol. It will slowly go away, but you have to chisel away every day of day one of 40, day two of 40, day three of 40. And by the time you come to 40th day, it disappears from your life. This is one attempt at how we break these bad habits and get back to the good habits that we are trying to make. Now, in the process of monkey to human, your mind keeps reminding this is the time now, start doing these things, otherwise, you'll fall trapped to this habit and you will feel regretful after. After a certain time, the 40 days of sadhana, you are already becoming a Mahatma, right? A Mahatma because you are accessing the super conscious soul, the super Atma or Maha Atma in you. That is what is keeping you alive. You are realizing that potential in you, and therefore you are able to overcome any limitations. And therefore, any thought that comes onto your mind, you will realize this is a temporary pleasure for the body, and therefore it will go away in some time. And during that time, you're probably chanting a Sundarakanda, you're chanting a Soundarya Lahari, and trying to keep yourself engaged and not distracted, right? So this transformation is what can be easily accomplished by the 60th Slokam of Soundarya Lahari that we are able to chant. The inner voice, which is called the Gita, Antar Gita, or the Bhagavad Gita, goddess of speech is Saraswati. So she is the one speaking to us internally, saying this is right, this is wrong, this I'm not very sure. If she is super conscious, how is she not very sure? It depends on how you have conditioned that voice. Okay, for example, you have gone to a temple, and when you have reached the temple, you have forgotten to keep the mobile in the vehicle or the car, and you carried the mobile to the temple. Suddenly, you're a doctor and you're getting a call. You're getting a call from your hospital from the emergency line. You are in the temple trying to do the prayers, offering your prayers, but you carried the phone and you looked at the phone. Now your dharma says in the temple, the board says, please switch off your mobile phones. Okay, but you have carried the mobile. The priest and the temple authorities know you. You are a very famous doctor. Now nobody is going to say, hey, why do you have the mobile turned on? You are, your wife or husband is telling you to mute the mobile, and you looked at the mobile, it is an urgency. You walk away from the Vigraha Murti, the main Moola Virat. Let's say you are in the Peddama temple of Hyderabad. You are walking away from Moola Virat saying, Amma, I'm getting an emergency call. Maybe there's an emergency. And you walk away, take the call, and the nurse on the other side is saying, the patient in the ICU, the vitals are varying. We don't know what to do. Immediately you turn to your husband and wife and say, I have to go to the hospital to attend to the patient. And then before walking down, as you're approaching the exit gate, you realized, oh, by the way, I didn't finish my prayers, mother. You turn back and say, oh, mother, forgive me that I'm walking away interrupted, but give me the capability to save this life, because people say, Vaidyo Narayano Hari. Okay, people see God in the form of a doctor. So you infuse the Hari Tattvam in me. And what does Hari mean? A stealer. Let me steal the dis-ease from the patient, and let me come back to you and offer my prayers in peace. Now, is this right? The board in the mobile say a phone temple says, please switch off your mobiles. Right? There is no paramadharma than trying to help somebody in need, whether you're in a temple, whether you are in a movie theater, whether you are on the road. Right? If you can't see the divine in the fellow beings, whether it is humans or animals, how will you ever acknowledge your gratitude to a murti which probably in your lifetime will never move with life? So that's where we go and keep referring to our slokam, Ishanam, Ishwaram Sarvabhutanam, right? When we are able to see that Ishvara is moving in every being, you will be able to do namaste to other beings, not because they are younger than you, they are older than you, they are more qualified, less qualified, because the power that is lightening you up to be alive is the same power, Parashakti, that is powering them. Once you realize you are already in the path of becoming a Mahatma, that's what happens with this very powerful 60th shlokam, which says Saraswatya Sukti Amritalari Kaushalavare Pibantya Sarvani Shravana Chulakabhyama Veralam. Saraswatya, I only chanted the first two lines. Saraswatya Sukti Amritalahari Kausalahari. Very simple. Saraswatya, Saraswati goddess. If you go to Prayagraj, where we recently celebrated Mahakumbh, you see Ganga, Yamuna are coming in, but Saraswati is the Antarvahini. By looking at the person, you will be able to, if he or she decorates, okay, during the Kumbh Mela, you have seen many fake sadhus also have come, because a lot of us give a lot of importance to the external makeup, external look, right? And in Grihastha it's absolutely okay to make up. And Sri Krishna and his 8 wives always indulged in making up and to look good. It's absolutely a dharmic thing. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. And but if we get stuck at the external makeup and looks, that's where the problem is. That's where a lot of people appearance are deceptive, but that's where a lot of people continue to cheat others with their appearances. You have so many fake gurus that basically attach by their external appearance. Now, By looking at a person, you probably will know she or he is a devotee in the form, in in their dress, attire, and other things you attach to. And then you go a little, the person starts speaking, you will be able to figure out whether they really have the Sarasatvam or the Saraswati, the intellect that is required in their field. And therefore, they are able to relay the knowledge that has been coming in Sanatana Dharma through the oral tradition of stories, like what we are discussing now. If I continue to think I'm the one who's sharing the stories, the beginning of my end starts. I become a vessel in which mother is pouring these thoughts, just like this microphone which is connected to my computer through a wire. If this wire is disconnected, then probably, since this is not a wireless headset, it will not be able to relay. I have invisible wires, you have invisible wires that are connecting us with the Parashakti. That is what is triggering us. First of all, the interest in you to take 1 hour or so on a holiday rather than spending with your family, coming to here. So that process of you trying to become, they discover the very best of yourself, the Mahatma in you, because Aham Brahmasmi, there is divine in all of us, but we don't realize there is divine, right? We continue to think we are very limited humans. And this is a process of trying to transform yourself. How would you transform? The Saraswati in you is saying, this is the time. This person is wanting to discuss something, you know, and therefore the Saraswati in you is bringing here and making you attend this satsangatyam where I'm able to become the vessel and share whatever his mother is enabling me to speak and you to listen. The same thing happens in the mother's Chit Sabha, where, or the Sri Sabha, where mother is sitting. Onto her right is Saraswati Devi, Sachamar Ramavani, Savyadakshana Sevita. Onto her left is Lakshmi Devi. Saraswati, with her Kachapi, the name of Veena, is playing beautiful mellifluous music. And Mother is enjoying. What is Mother Goddess Saraswati playing? She is singing the glory of Mahakameshwara, how Mahakameshwara went and attacked the Tripurasuras, how Mahakameshwara went and had a son with Mohini, giving birth to Ayappa. All the Divya Leelas of Mahakameshwara, Mother's husband, are being sung by Saraswati. And Mother is enjoying them with the state of bliss, saying, oh, my husband has done this, and how he has done the various leelas, how he drank the halahalam, how he has been always a giver and never a taker. Whatever others don't want, he has been always there like a father and say, I will take it. You guys take whatever you want, whatever you don't want, leave it. I will take it. And mother is enjoying those stories. And when she says, Bhale, Sabash, immediately Saraswati Devi is stopping her veena and covering it Vinit Bhaksita Kachapi. Why is Mother Goddess Saraswati immediately stopping her mellifluous music? Because Mother's speech, when she said excellent, Sabash, right? That word that came out of Mother's mouth is much more musical and much more powerful, much more soothing than what Mother Goddess Saraswati, standing to the right of Lalita Devi, is playing and singing with Veena Nadam. All the three, her singing, the Veena Nadam, are both of them are being covered. Immediately, Mother Goddess Saraswati is stopping and listening to Mother's music. And Saraswati is getting mesmerized in that mellifluous word of Mother. That's the first line. Saraswatya Sukti Amrita Lahari Kausha Lahari. Saraswati, Mother Goddess Saraswati, Sukti, the beautiful Su Ukti. Ukti means word, Su means good words. The great Leelas of Parameshwara that she's singing. Amrita Lahari, which is flowing like nectar, the flow of nectar. Kaush, that nectars, nectar is like Amrita, very, very tasteful. That nectar sweetness is being taken away. By what? Kausala Hari. Hari, as I said, the goodness of that nectar is being taken away. Who? The next line. Pibantya sarvani sravana chulukabhyam viralam. Pibantya. Pibantya in Sanskrit means drinking. Sarvani. Sarvani is the Vani of Sarva. Jagadguru is using the beautiful word Sarvani because one of the names of Saraswati is Vani. When she is flowing in the form of speech, she is the Vani. Okay, Akasavani, the voice has been heard without a form, and therefore Akasavani speaks. When the Parashakti or Paramatma wants to speak, when Krishna was born, Kamsa wanted to kill the Yogamaya. That's when the Akashvani spoke. Every time the Parashakti wanted to speak without, or the Paramatma wanted to speak without a form, the Akasavani speaks. Okay. And this is the same word that has been picked up by All India Radio from our Sanatana Dharma, saying Akaswani, you don't see the wires connected, but still the radio continues to speak as if the wires are connected to it, translating the radio waves into sound waves in our transistors. Right? Pibantya Sarvani. Sarva is the name of Shiva. Ishanam Sarvavidyanam, Ishwaram Sarva Bhutanam, Brahma Adipatim, Brahmanodipatim, Brahma Shivome Astu Sada Shivom, the one who is omnipresent, Sarva, that Sarvas Vani. So the Vani is omnipresent. Saraswati is confined in you, me, and only you can listen to that voice. But this voice, into which Mother Goddess Saraswati also taps into, we all have Dish TV satellites kept on. But the main satellite, these Dish TV satellites are our Saraswati. But the main satellite that is beaming the signal to all these satellites is the Parashakti. If that satellite is not working, no matter how many Saraswatis are there, they will not work. So, Sarvani means, oh mother, you are the one who is spreading this internal Saraswati, internal Bhagavad Gita in me, which is saying this is the right thing to do, this is the wrong thing to do, don't do, please do. Right? Like the doctor in the hospital. The Saraswati in him said, somebody is in emergency, but the Parashakti said, you're Paramadharma is you are a doctor. You have to go save a life. What are you doing here in the temple standing with your folded hands? Are you so foolish to think the Paramatma or Parashakti is only in this temple? It's good you have come here, taking time because of the Sattvikata that will be there here. Everybody who comes here prays with positivity, come with hope. Therefore, when you come to go to a temple, you should go to a temple. Right? When you go to a temple, there is an element of Sattvikata, there is an element of peace, there is an element of goodness, kindness that is prevailing around it and it infuses into you. Therefore, we should go to temple. We should take our younger ones, older ones to the temple. That is the reason sitting in a temple has been mandated. Don't just go to a temple, take a darshan, take the prasadam, tirtham, and walk away from it. When you sit for a couple of minutes, you're soaking into that sattvikata. But here is an emergency. You access me. Are you thinking, your doctor, you are the one who is going to rescue? If that patient does not have the number of breaths in the form of longevity, what will you do? You might be, the best doctor in the world, but remember, therefore, bringing in the humbleness in the doctor, saying, I am just an instrument in your hands. Oh God or goddess, that my favorite. Make me your instrument and then play, right? Now, this essentially is what the next line says. Accessing that Sarvani, Pibantya Sarvani. A lot of people misunderstand the Slokam to be Saraswati is singing and Mother Goddess is, moving her earrings, which is true. But the next line, Pibantya Sarvani, Shravana Chulakabhyam Viralam. Now, this slokam is talking about Saraswati Devi. Pibantya, drinking, Sarvani, the superconscious speech, Shravana Chulukabhyam, Shravana, Shrunvan Tapaha, listening to the Sanatana Dharma, Puranas, Vedas, works like Soundarya, Lahari, Sundarakanda, and others, is equivalent to doing tapas. And Chitragupta writes down in our history of whatever karmas we have done. Today, this son and daughter of Parashakti has listened to 40 minutes of Soundar Lahari, goes into protecting you and your lineage. That is how Mahatmas are born in your lineage. That is how devotees are born in your lineage. When a soul searches to enter the womb, that soul which infuses life into the fifth month pregnant mother's womb looks for what is their lineage. Do they have any devotees in it? If I'm born into that family, will I be able to continue my sadhana? For example, my life, I was I was a very fond devotee of Hanuman right from my childhood. My mother taught me Hanuman Chalisa at my second year when I went away to hostel at the age of 6. From that moment, I remember from my 6th year I've been chanting Hanuman Chalisa at least a couple of times every day. I never knew about Parashakti, but look at the vasanas. Every day as I would go to school, I would pass by a Mother Goddess's temple in the small village where I grew up, which is more than a village and less than a town. But I would remove my chappal and on the road stand and pray to the goddess for 30 seconds and just go. Right? I would not go into the temple. I'm not saying I'm great. I'm not saying anybody is superior or inferior, but I'm telling you how vasanas play. And from my 6th year until my 17th year, as I was walking through that road almost every day, I would stop, whether it is rain, shine, whatever it is, I'll stop there for 30 seconds. Just pray to the goddess. Those days I would say, please help me get educated. Please help me study better. Right? And just walk. And every time exams would come, I'll have a business transaction with the mother goddess. I grew up away from my parents. So I used to be extremely kind of lonely, and that also gave me a lot of isolation to think and do some sadhanas from relatively young age because of my isolation. Now, when I look back, I know it's all her doing, right? But I'm giving you an example because I know how my life got sculpted. So every time exams would come, I would go to the temple from outside. I'll say, Mother, please help me get good marks. And this continued for 12 to 13. And I'll say, I'll come and light a lamp, after my exams, provided I get good marks, first, second, whatever in the class, right? And then this continued. By the time I was about to leave, I owed mother 54 lamps. I didn't have money to go light the lamps as a student. Then after marriage, my wife and I went to this temple where I was born and grew up, a small place called Berhampur on the state of Orissa, on the border of Andhra, Orissa. And I remembered and lit all those 60, 54 is what I remembered. Maybe I made more business transactions saying, give me good marks, give me this praise, that praise. So I went back with my wife after the first year of marriage, 2 months into marriage. And then we lit 60 lamps. And I told my wife this. Now, suddenly out of nowhere, right? I did not know Lalita. I knew that there's a farm called Amavaru and Goddess, but never really Lalita's ashramam. Nobody in my family was also chanting. I grew away from my parents, my grandparents. I would visit them once a while. But never for once I knew there was a goddess called Lalitha. Okay. When I was 6 years old, my father's mother, whose name is Bala Tripur Sundari, and she breastfed me when I was born because my mother was in coma and there was no guarantee my mother and I will survive. It was a very complicated delivery, either mother or baby will survive. So ours was the first case where both of us survived. So my mother was in coma and she was in no form to feed me. My grandmother, you know, breastfed me, okay, and my paternal grandmother. And that's because my youngest uncle, my dad's siblings are 11, 13 of them, but 11 survived. My dad is the oldest, the 11th one. The youngest uncle is 3.5 years older to me. And therefore, my grandmother she was lactating and she could breastfeed me. Now, her name is Bala Tripur Sundari. Okay, every week I would go spend time with them. When I was 6 years old, she gave me the Haigriva mantram, Jnananandamaya Devam, what manas we chanted today. Haigriva is the god of Sri Vidya. And in 2008, when I went to Arunachalam for the first time, as I was going, a guru who gave me the Diksha on Srividya said, try chanting Lata Sahasranam. This was 17 years ago on in the first week of May. And when I went, I started chanting Lata Sahasranam, looking at a book. It started naturally coming. as if I've chanted. But that was the first time I was chanting with this body in this life. And then it came extremely naturally. So when I went back to Guru's sadhanas, I realized my father's mother, Bala Tripur Sundari, her mother was a great Lalita Upasaka. Her kids' names, all the names, Annapurna, Savitri, Bala Tripur Sundari, and the youngest daughter was named Lalita. Okay. And she used to do Lalita sadhana. And then the next generation, not many did. But my grandmother was a great Veena artist, All India radio artist. And she would also do something called Sukti Muktavali, sharing beautiful moral related stories for 5 minutes in the All India radio, which generally used to come at 6 a.m. in the morning. I don't know if it still comes, Vishakhapatnam station. Right. So, and she gave me infused with Haigrava Mantram, which I continue to chant. And in Sundarakanda, it says if you chant Hanuman and pray to Hanuman for 12 years, he will land you with Mother Divine. So I chanted Hanuman Chalisa at least for 22 years. Okay. And then Hanuman very, very, very graciously landed me at Mother's feet, and it continued, right? And then in between, I was also initiated into Vaishnava Sampradaya by a great Himalayan Siddha called Devara Baba, who predicted by the year, month, and date when Ayodhya Ram Mandir will come. And that is the reason, if you look at the Ayodhya Ram Mandir invitation, the first picture on the Ram Mandir was of my Guru's Devara Baba, because when he left his body in 1989, he predicted, set the date, time, month when Ram temple will come in Ayodhya, and what is the muhurt in which they have to initiate that. So blessed. I was in Vishakhapatnam. A saint from Himalayas came, and when my mother went to a Sai Baba temple, that saint called my mother and said, "Your son is visiting you on holidays. I have come here to visit him. Call him." Right? My mother was surprised. How does this saint know that I'm in Vishakhapatnam? Have visited coming from summer holidays. And then he spoke to me about some incidents that nobody knows what happened other than me. As part of some of the sadhanas that I, I just started doing those sadhanas without any guru's initiation, continuation of past lives. And this Guru Bhai of mine came searching for me, and he was the one who took me to Himalayas, and I was not convinced. And he told me some of the experiences that I experienced that nobody, including my biological mother, knows, right? And he said, Guruji sent to get me, you, and therefore I went to Himalayas, was initiated into certain other Kriya Yogas, certain other sadhanas and stuff, right? Which I will start to share and disclose to the extent I can, to the extent Mother allows as the situation comes, many of which I have shared in the podcast, right? On my experiences and the sadhanas that I have done. Very, very infant with a very, very small experiences, but profound impact, right? So I'm no way saying I'm any extraordinary or Mahatma. If an ignorant person like me can go through these experiences and continue to, I still have my set of huge imperfections that I struggle live with, the thoughts of lust, the thoughts of anger, the thoughts of greed that I try to validate as and when, as and how I can. Right. So I have my fair share of great experiences. I have my fair share of ill experiences. Every time I go through a great experiences, for example, yesterday I was setting up the Shakti Panchayatanam at home. Okay. Panchayatana Puja is set up by Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya. Depending on, you take the five important gods, goddesses that you pray. Whoever is the important god to you, you will keep them in the center. I pray to Mother Divine. I think of her as my own mother, which is fact. No matter which god you and I pray to, she is our mother. We just don't relate and attach to. So in Shakti Panchayatanam, you keep the Sri Chakram or Mahameru or goddesses Vigraham in the center onto, the if you're thinking you are keeping her in the center, on the right diagonal side, you keep the Shiva. On the left diagonal side, you keep Vishnu. On the lower diagonal side, you keep Surya. On the lower right hand side diagonal side, you keep Ganesha. In the center, this is the Shakti Panchayatanam. Depending on Vishnu's, whomever you pray, the order changes. So I kept them, and I did not see for Muhurtam and all that. I just was doing puja in the morning, and I got an instruction that I should now start setting everything as a panchayatanam. I set it up, and I was not sure. After that, immediately, one of the cars had a battery issue. I realized, okay, maybe an indicator, good. And then I was thinking to myself, Mother, give me an indication that what I'm doing is the right thing. I'm asking my internal Saraswati, which has to channelize into the superconscious. So the car stopped. My plan was to stay at home and read some books and try to record some of the podcasts. But my wife was worried whether the car will stop and whether she'll be able to. So I volunteered to go with her in the new car. And because if there's a battery issue, I can help her. So I went. And so my wife had to go do some shopping. And she went to the shop. She was shopping. I did not go. I wanted to keep the car running. I did not want to shut it down. So I kept in the car. I sat in the car, and for 40 minutes I sat in the car. Then my wife comes back, and we were coming back home. She said the shopkeeper, whoever was selling the saris, she gave two Rudraksha fruits to my wife and said, please pass this on to your husband. Okay. And my wife came back to car and she was very delighted. I didn't tell, she does not know about any of this Shakti Panchayatnam and any of these things. She came into the car and she just handed me those two Rudrakshas, which, are still the Rudraksha fruits. I don't know which Rudraksha it is. I soaked it in water so I can open it up. I'll send the picture later. But then I felt grateful to the mother saying, whatever I have said, okay, you have given an indication that in spite of the car having an issue with the battery, here is a blessing that you are sending through an almost stranger, okay, and that's how she continues to function. I'm just telling you one example from the life of a very insignificant human like me who is often a monkey than even a man and struggling with my own thoughts, the priorities of work, constantly traveling, not trying to get the time to do sadhanas. But every time that happens, I'm trying to hold onto the feet of the mother and saying, please don't push me away from your feet, right? And that alone is the sankalpam that we all should take. You allowed me today to do your prayer. 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 50 minutes, 5 hours, doesn't matter. It's the quality that matters, not the quantity. Please allow me tomorrow also. That's what the next line. The example that I gave is essentially what it talks. When you are listening, you are also responding, reacting. Your faith, your belief in the Sanatan Dharma becomes concrete because of these experiences. That is the reason we have to befriend. Satsangatyam with the devotees is important. So when we are going through our tough times, we will get hope from the faith, which is the mula, which is the main root of Sanatana Dharma. Everybody will go through good, bad, ugly times, right? But when we are going through bad and ugly times, we should stay firm. Okay. Now, my journey through my life, okay, how did my soul, when it was searching for the womb of my mother during the 5th month pregnant, it definitely would have searched what is the lineage. If I'm being born into this family, will I be able to continue the sadhanas that I did until my last life? And that's how the soul enters the womb of mother to ensure the continuity comes. Okay. Now, Pibantya Sarvani Shravana Chuluka Abhyama Veralam. Averalam means flowing incessantly, contagiously. You know, you are glued. You sat to listen the podcast or class for half an hour, but you're consuming 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. It is positively contagious. And it's ensuring there's a shield around you where Kali is not able to enter and distract you. Therefore, the monkey in our mind is now in the phase of Mahatma. We all go through these different phases. Sometimes you are in Mahatma phase where you are, you know, in communion with the Parashakti. Sometimes you're in the man's phase where you are. So you can never be in one stage for all the time, but whenever you are drifting from one stage to other, you should have the consciousness and awareness that this is changing. Therefore, I need to be careful, especially when it's coming from Mahatma to human, human to monkey, right? Shravana Chuluka Abhyam. Shravana is listening. What organ do you use Ear is what we use. Shravana Chulukabhyam means now Saraswati Devi's ears are becoming vessels. Her ears are becoming vessels. Why did they become vessels? When mother is trying to speak, Mother Goddess Saraswati is trying to hold those words and preserve them in her ear because mother speaks very less. Mandasmita, she smiles very gently, teeth don't appear. She speaks very Mandavani, speaks very low voice, speaks very little. But when she speaks, it's like an atom bomb. It will have a lot of meaningful impact in it. Chamatkara slaga chalita sirasa. Now, when Saraswati Devi has listened to those beautiful words of Mother, where Mother is appreciating Saraswati's music, Saraswati is making her ears like a vessel that can store the amritam that is flowing out of Mother's speech. And when she is keeping in it, Saraswati is not able to contain that high that is coming by drinking this nectar, this amritam that is flowing from Mother Lalita's mouth, entering Saraswati's ears, and she is getting a high. When she's, some of you would have experienced this when you're in puja, sometimes you cry without your knowledge. These are tears of bliss, right? Sometimes you move, your body moves, you start vibrating, your part of body becomes cold, part of body becomes hot. These are all implications of kundalini based on where it is vibrating, how it is progressing, right? Now chamatkara slaga chalita sirasa kundala ganai, kundalas are the earrings, they are moving. Saraswati Devi is not able to contain that amrita high that is she's getting with one word of mother, and she is moving, and her earrings are moving. How are they moving? They are not just moving, they are moving. Chamatkara slaga chalita sirasa kundalaganai. Janatkare taraha. Janatkare means as if Saraswati Devi is ringing the bells in Lalita, Mother Goddess Lalita's temple, right? Mother Goddess spoke a word, and Saraswati Devi's earrings are ringing as if they're ringing the bells in the very powerful, very holy temple of Mother Goddess Lalita. And what is it happening? Saraswati Devi is just nodding her head in a beautiful communion that she is in. Because if Saraswati is able to spread the words, the source of Saraswati Devi is Sarvani, Vani, Sarvani. When Sarvani speaks, Vani takes that one word, just like that one satellite is beaming, and all the dishes that are there are receiving the signal and showing the channel content that we are tuning into. Now, Saraswati is getting the signal, but you have to tune into the channel. For example, you are getting Bhakti TV, you are getting TTD, SVBC, you are also getting other channels that cause a lot of distraction. When Saraswati is getting this channel, it is up to you, your vasanas from the previous janmas, your karmas in the current janma, your decisions now will ensure you are tuning into those channels that the superconscious is beaming. But based on your vasanas, you tune into those channels, and therefore you are able to progress ahead. This is essentially the brief attempt at this very powerful slokam, which says Saraswatya Sukti Amrutalari Pibantya Sarvani Shravana Chulukabhyama Viralam Chamatkare Slage Chalitariso Kundalagane. Chamatkare means Saraswati Devi is moving the earrings as if the bells, right? The ear ornament rings, generally they jingle, but here they're ringing as if the bells are ringing. Janatkare Stare Prativachana Machasta Ivate. Essentially, it says this signifies Mother Goddess Saraswati is responding, with the jingling ornaments as if she is, a lot of people will say she is moving in approval. Who is Saraswati Devi to approve what Lalita Devi is saying? Right? She is her servant. Therefore, she is standing next to her, but she is expressing her gratitude, saying, Mother, I sang so many songs, I spoke so many words. You are a mother, Sree Mata. Therefore, you are appreciating whatever I'm doing. And I am grateful because if I'm doing something, It is because you are functioning in me as the Parashakti. If you choose not to transmit, if you stop being Sarvani, this Vani will be of no use. Therefore, I am expressing my gratitude to you, is what Saraswati Devi is expressing by moving her head and moving the earrings, as if she's ringing the bells, offering the prayers to Mother. And when she did this, Mother basically brought in the Vak Devis who continue to assist Mother Goddess Saraswati. Vasinyadi Vak Devatas, we talk about Vasini Devi, Nalini Devi, Aruna Devi, Kameshwari Devi, Moni Devi, right? These Vak Devatas are the ones who gave the Lalita Sahasranamam to help Saraswati Devi spread. You see, there is Balamurali Krishna, there is Nednuri, there are many singers, Priya sisters. Everybody sings. Garimella Balakrishna, who recently passed away, who used to sing a lot of TTD songs of Annamacharya Kritis. Everybody sings the same song, but everybody has a unique style. Okay. The messengers of music between the divine and us are the Gandharvas. So when you are trying to pick up a fine skill that connects you to the superconscious, to the Sanatana Dharma, each Gandharva who is specializing in that will adopt you. Therefore, you will start having as you see S.P. Balasubramaniam sings in a style, Jesudas sings in a different style, right? Kiravani sings in a different style. They are all adopted by Gandharvas because of that's the reason we say Gandharva Gahanam. Similarly, when we are trying to make an effort in mothers or the Sanatan Dharma, we are adopted by Mahatmas that are not visible to our eyes, but they become the messengers between the Parashakti and us. They will be our custodian guardian angels who are continue to guide us. Who, for example, yesterday the Rudrakshas that were delivered to me, my Gandharva, my messengers, my Mahatmas, my gurus would have spoken to that other person who gave those Rudraksha, the sari selling vendor, and infused an idea in her, saying, here is this woman. That woman does not even know that, whether I'm a Shiva devotee, Vishnu devotee, what I do. And that idea was triggered in mental canvas by her custodian angels. She must have some, you know, Purvajanma vasanas about the divine. She must have had some connection with me. Therefore, those Rudrakshas are now being passed on through her to me on a day where I'm asking for mother's validation that whatever I have done, na janami avahanam, I don't know how to invite you, mother. Na janami visarjana, I don't know how to send you off. There's no place for you to go, but when I'm asking you to come here to when I'm doing my prayers, I'm inviting you specially, right? But you have so many other functions that you have to do. So your focus will be in other places, though you are watching me, your attention is somewhere else. So you have to go. All right, your focus has to go, though you are omnipresent and spreading everywhere. And when I don't know anything, how would I offer prayers? Najanami pujam, right? I don't know how to do your puja, but mother, you are the one who is giving me this capability, the capacity, and you are giving me the credit. You are giving me the punya, saying, oh, my dear daughter, my dear son has done. Chitragupta, please note it down. So this is your own avyaja karuna, not I'm making efforts like many people. You see, you go to YouTube and search for later after the class, right? Muthuswami Dikshit's Navavarna Kritis. Okay. If you listen to those Navavarna Kritis regularly, Muthuswami Dikshita is a great Srividya Upasaka who found his Veena in Varanasi, right? The Veena of Muthuswami Dikshita has the dragon-like organ that is at the end of the Veena. It faces upward. Okay. It was found in the Varanasi. He composed these Navavarna Sthithis. If you keep listening to those, you will spiritually progress much. But if you go to YouTube, look at how many people probably have listened to it. Maybe 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, right? Maybe they are listening some other ways. But if you go listen to recently released, let's say, a Bollywood song, a Tollywood song, or a Hollywood song, in 1 week you have millions of views. This is a classic example of Kali Prabhavam. Only less than 1% of people will make an effort to find the ways to go inward. I'm not criticizing anyone. right? That's based on their Purva Janma Vasanas. And they probably will take a lot more time to get there. But that 1% which is making an effort will receive great help in their enablement and progress. Yesterday, I was telling one of our group members when she called me and said, thank you so much, you are giving me this. I said, that is the mistake you're making. Don't make me the middleman between you and the divine. I am a courier boy or a delivery boy or a man that has it. Come and deliver the message. Now you have to take the book and read it in order to get the essence. You ordered the book because of your Purva karmas. I become the delivery boy, you know, Zepto, Amazon, or Swiggy, Instamart, whatever it is. I come deliver because you made an order and the divine has directed me saying, deliver this message to this person. So I come deliver that message or instruction to you. Don't hold me as the middleman. Nobody, no middleman or woman is required between us and our mother, us and our father. When we bring in a middleman or a middle woman, that's where a lot of loss in translation happens. Have the attachment with the divine, just like you have an attachment with your mother and father. So remove me from the equation. Don't think I'm a guru, I'm a baru, I'm a weight. Okay. And you want to get rid of the weight. Do that. And have a direct association. Express your gratitude to her, saying, you sent me the message through this person, that person, whoever you chose, but it was your calling, your choosing. Thank you so much for reminding me to walk back on this path. I'm extremely grateful. Please ensure that I don't get lost. This is Saraswati in you, and I working in conjunction with the Sarvani. When you chant this slokam, you will have a lot more clarity of thought on what to do, when to do, where to do, how to do, therefore prioritize it. This is a brief attempt at the very full 60th slokam of Soundarya Lahari. We'll come back and revisit the next slokam in the next class. Manasvi, can you chant Mangalam Guru Shri Amma?
चन्द्रमणीश्वर गे शक्ति गणपति शारदाम्बिक शंकराचार्य गे काल भैरव गे काली दुर्गे वीर धीरा सूर हनुमान हरति चरण गे मंगलम गुरु श्री
Sree Maathre Namaha. Stay blessed, and we will meet in the next class.